it's a very hectic kind of atmosphere.
I can imagine.
Sitting there, what happens is we can watch the show on they have big screen TVs throughout the room, like 3 or 4 of them, and it will be live. We can see it live, but the minute the commercial break hits, the minute an honoree starts to come in, and they can come in at any time, because what they do is they win their award and they have the option. They can either go back to their seat, watch the rest of the awards, and then and at the end of the awards go and be interviewed, or they funnel us through the photography and then the press, and then they'll go back to the awards show.
Mm-hmm.
And usually the people who win in the beginning, they usually do that first, and it's not till the very end, like when you've got best actors and director and best film. Like if you win best actress and the other awards haven't been shown yet, you want to sit there and wait and watch, because it's the best part of the show, which wins.
Right.
Sure, right. So usually they'll bring other people in, and one of the movies that year that was up for a lot of awards was Hugo. And Hugo's kind of an interesting movie because it is about a man who made silent films.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was really lucky at the movie theater that I worked at in Palm Desert. We actually had one of the producers of Hugo there. His name is Graham King. And Graham King is also the producer of Bohemian Rhapsody, which just came out.
Oh, yeah.
He's a very big producer. He's worked with Martin Scorsese. I mean, very well-known producer. So he came in and talked about how Hugo was made, and it was done 3D, but it was done with 3D cameras, and every setup of the cameras took about 6 hours. So
oh my gosh!
To shoot a movie, a scene, and it takes actually 6 hours to prepare to even start shooting, and Graham had to go back to his investor for more money because it kept taking longer and longer to shoot. And it was shot on a real film set. They built the whole set right there. So basically, this movie had very little green screen.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of 3D movies are either green screen or they're filmed in 2D, and then there's a transformation into 3D.
Yeah.
It's actually filmed for 3D, which is different.
Crazy. Yeah.
So during the award show, the cinematographer won. And of course he's going to win because the other cinematographers and the other filmmakers know what a difficult job it was to film, to film this with all these setups taking so long. And I knew all of this, right? It's like I was prepared. And I'm sitting there, and this one of my colleagues gets to ask the cinematographer a question, and it's the first question the cinematographer gets, and he goes, "Can you tell me all the elements that it took to green screen this movie?" And I'm yelling in my head, "No, don't ask that question. That's not a good question. It was a green screen film. It was all shot in real 3D. Why are you asking this question, right?" And the cinematographer, without missing a beat, said, "Oh, well, that's quite interesting because 99% of this film is not green screen." And he says, "Obviously, you didn't do your homework." And I said, "I hope when Mr. Scorsese comes in here, you have a better question for him."
Oh, wow. That's a burn.
So I'm sitting there, I'm going, "Oh, God, this is horrible. You got to really find a good question. If you're gonna put yourself out there, you better have a good question, right? And you better be So later throughout the day, another film that was up for Oscars was The Artist, another film based on silent films. It was kind of funny. And the director came out, and his name is Michel Hazanavicius, and he's from France. Mm-hmm. And really, really nice guy. And I noticed that hardly anyone had their little card up. There's a number card they give us. And they would say, "Okay, 212, you're next," and they would tell us to see who was going to get to ask the question. Mm-hmm. And I was, no one is putting their, so I was in the very back of the room. I was so new that they had me seated to the back door. Yeah. The back door was like, I could touch the back door. I was so far at that. So I actually stood up and raised my card so they could actually see me all the way up at the stage. So
Mm-hmm.
she told me, and I said to Ms. Shahazanavicius, I said, I was just curious what silent films inspired you to make The Artist. And he was touched, and he went, "You mean my own personal favorites?" And I said, "Yes, your own personal favorites." And so he started to talk about the silent films that he loved and the silent film directors that that inspired him. And he was so excited about it that he started speaking faster, and his English started becoming a little more French. And then finally he said something like, "You'll have to come spend a week with me," because he knew I was actually interested in silent films as like he was.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, I did that well, the whole place just laughed when he said, "You have to come spend a week with me,"
Yeah.
So I knew I had done well, So
Nice.
The last time I was at the Oscars, I was actually in the front row.
Nice. All right.
From the very back to the front row. So
Sweet.
yeah.
Because Kay knows what she's doing.
I knew what I was doing. Yes. And that year I got to ask Julianne Moore her question when she won Best Actress. And how I did that was a really funny story. We had a guy come in for, I think it was some kind of sound award. I don't remember exactly what award it was. It was a person I had not anticipated asking a question for, had not prepared to ask him a question, because I had prepared questions for people that I wanted to interview. And what they do is they do a little test with the room, because they don't want someone to come in and no one raise their hand to ask a question, because that could be awkward, right? You just want an academy card and no one wants to talk to you. You don't want that to happen. So what they will do, if no one raises their hands, sometimes happens with the winners of the short films, they just move them along like they don't know they're missing anything. So, but anyway, so they did this test, and I had a lot of people that wanted to ask this guy a question. He comes onto the stage, and I'm sitting there right next to the woman who chooses all the people that get to ask questions. And she starts to look around, and no one has their card up.
Oh my gosh.
And she's like totally freaking out. And so I just held my card up and asked him a question just to get the ball rolling. Yeah. And she remembered that. So I could see the cards before she was, because they didn't always come in the order that they won. So you never were really sure who was going to be next.
Right.
And so I saw her preparing the card for the next person, and it was Julianne Moore, and that's the one I really wanted. So yeah. So when I put my card up, she obviously did pick me, because I kind of saved her ass on the last guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just you just have to be really kind of a little aggressive and outgoing, and and you pick those really prime moments, and it's just a tiny bit of film history, but it's so fun to be part of it.
Yeah, that sounds just freaking awesome and so cool.
Yeah.
So what was your, you said you had a story about one time, like the presenter came in one time or something like that?
Oh, okay. What happened was, I'm trying to meet, Jennifer Gardner, and that's when she was still married to, oh gosh, what's his name? God, no, I can't think of his name. I can totally picture him. He had a film with George Clooney, and it was about God, I can't even think of the name of the film. I should have this with me.
I wish I could help. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, God, his name. Anyway, her husband and George Clooney came out, and they won Oscars, and they all had beards on. And Jennifer Gardner, she just came in and sat down, and with the press, they found a chair and sat down, which they're not allowed to do. But who's going to tell Jennifer Gardner get out, right?
Yeah, right.
Right. And so her husband was up there, and George Clooney was up there, and then she says, I made them a bet. If they won, they had to shave their beards off. So really funny. I enjoyed her. Just seemed like she's a really, really sweet person, and really fun girl.
That's good.
Yeah.
Just enjoying herself, having fun. That's nice.
Right. Yeah. And they had a few drinks in them too, by the time they get up there. So,
Yeah, they're loose.
Jennifer Lawrence, she She says, I'm a little drunk. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be honest with you.